Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of Fair Trade Unplugged, where we bring you news and views and stories from the world of fair trade. My name's Mark Buchanan. I'm the CEO at We Are Fair Trade, and today I'm really excited to have with me Martin Zuch from Mama Buci Honey. So, Martin, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks very much for having me, Mark. Good to be here.
We've not known each other that long, but from the little bit that we've already shared, you've got a really interesting story. So just give us a little potted history of how come you've ended up running a company that's importing honey.
It's a long story. It's actually a book's worth, but I can give you a 30-second background into how I got here, or 60-second background.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I used to be a hedge fund manager. I was living in Switzerland. I pretty much had everything I wanted. I had lived a decadent lifestyle, I have to confess. And I had an encounter with God, and I became a Christian. That is another story in itself. But after that, I decided that I had to do something that would impact others rather than just impacting myself.
Wow. Okay. So you've decided you want to do something slightly different with life. So you're in Switzerland. How did you end up in Africa, and how did you end up doing the honey?
Well, it was a journey to get there, and quite a long journey. So first of all, I had connections in Zambia, and I managed to acquire significant land from the government and also purchased a small farm in another part of Zambia. And I implemented banana plantations and other crops, as well as building a school. That was at the very beginning. And then fast forward 5 years later, the big farm, the huge farm that I had, where I was pumping water from the Zambezi, and it was it was a mega farm with millions of investment, my money and also the bank's money. I lost the farm to the bank. Couldn't pay the interest back on the loan. It was 12, 13%. I lost that farm. And then the other farm, which was 500 miles away north of the country, had a disease on the banana plantation and had problems with management and other huge issues, and lost that farm as well. So that was quite devastating. And then out of the ashes came the beekeeping.
Wowee. So that must have been a real kick in the teeth then. So you feel you've got a vision and you've managed to actually get it off the ground. How did you cope with the disappointment of that?
It was kind of horrendous, especially when I thought I was doing God's job. um, Things happened to me, which, when I look back, I can't believe it happened. I was being stalked in the UK by people that wanted to extort out of me money. When I landed in Zambia once, I was arrested on the tarmac and taken into the police station, and all kinds of things happened. It was horrendous, and I couldn't understand what was going on. It was perplexing. The only thing I was kind of left with was this school, which by then had 160 kids in it, and nobody wanted the school. They were happy to give me the school, but I lost everything else. So yeah, it was very difficult, but my faith kept me through, and there was enough there that kept my head above water, and I just kept going. And I met a guy out there who I'd known from the beginning when I was in Africa, who was a Methodist missionary. His name was John Enright. He encouraged me, and he said, "Look, there are other projects that we can do to make this work," and that's how the beekeeping started.
Wow, that's not your typical startup story, is it?
No, I think I was just so enthusiastic to change the world. I had money because I was wealthy, and from the hedge fund days, I had more money than I needed. And I think when you have that kind of money, you kind of do things in your own strength, and you sort of put a plan together. My plan was more of a European plan, and they kind of work. But when you go to Africa, nothing works like that. You have to double check everything or triple check everything, and look at past results of other projects, and you have to do so much more due diligence, and so it was very, very hard. But I did then start this project with this guy. I invested another large sum of money, remortgaged a house, and we implemented top bar beekeeping in Zambia. It took 2 years to get right. Took 2 years to get the model right. Um, with beehives that are sat sort of on the ground in Zambia, some of them work, some of them don't. The bees don't like to be close to the ground; they like to be high up in the tree. So we had this different model where at first we did have the beehives on the ground, and it just didn't work. The occupation of the hives, the bees would abscond.
Hmm.
So we had to find a different way of keeping the bees in the hive, and we found this model of putting the bees high up in the tree, putting the hive high up in the tree. And then we found that our hives were occupied by 60, 70, 80%, which was fantastic. It's the
Wow.
most natural way of beekeeping, actually. We wax the inside of the hive, we hoist it high up in the tree, and we leave it there. And after 3 to 4 weeks, we got a swarm.
Hmm. Amazing. And have you got like previous history in beekeeping or honey production, or was this all brand new for you?
Absolutely none, brand new to me. And actually, 10 years, 15 years later, it's still new to me. I'm not the man on the ground. I mean, when I'm out there, I go out there, I do filming, I do some harvesting, but I'm no expert. And we have experts that go around on bicycles and they bring in the locals to help hoist the hives high up in the tree or bring them down to harvest the honey. And the model that we have is we give 10 beehives to each family. So they receive an income. We have two honeys, a summer harvest and a winter harvest. We harvest in December and we also harvest in July. So yeah,
Okay.
twice a year we harvest. They get paid in cash, the family, per weight of honey. We weigh it in a white bucket and we give them cash on the day that we take the honey away. And we've now, I mean, the project's been going since 2010, 11. Um, we've now built over 130,000 beehives and
Wowee.
we impact well over 10,000 families.
Huh.
It's an ongoing project.
Yeah.
Beehives fall apart, decline, need repairs, and so we have to keep building, keep replenishing.
Yeah.
But we produce 2.5 to 3 million jars of honey a year.
Wowee. So I've got a picture on the screen of the two honeys that you sent me as samples there. So I brought them home to a jar of each, and we've been trying them in different things. And it's the big surprise was how different the taste of the summer and the winter harvest actually is. So what's making that difference?
So the summer harvest only has one flower, and that flower is called Jubilardia paniculata. I think that's the Latin word.
Right.
And it's got this distinct flavor. People say it's like an aniseed flavor.
Yeah.
It's been tested, both honeys have been tested at Sunderland University for 12 to 18 months on and off, and they found that its medicinal properties are significant.
Hmm.
They actually tested it against two Manuka honeys, and I'm not allowed to name the names of those Manuka honeys, but they found that its medicinal properties were significantly stronger than those
Wow.
two Manuka honeys. Now, I need more money to do further testing so we can get these results published.
Yeah.
And slowly I'll try and raise that money. And hopefully by the end of this year, or certainly the beginning of next year, we can publish those results. And that will make a huge difference to the price of our honey for a start, and means that we can, if we get a higher price for the honey, we can build more beehives. And the Miambo forests, where the honey is from, they're unique trees and shrubs and plants. And it's an amazing honey. And going on to the winter one, that has four flowers, four flora.
Okay.
So if you think of it like a Manuka honey, Manuka is one flora, one flower,
Yeah.
one tree. This is four flowers, multifloral,
Right.
very, very powerful. And they found that it fights against cancer cells. But I need to get these results published before this can be announced. But it's a significant honey with its medicinal properties.
Okay.
And
And
by the
that's
way, that honey, the dark honey, tastes like molasses. People say, "Hey, this is like molasses. This is like a brown sugar." Well, nothing's been added to this honey. It's purely the taste comes from the flora and the fauna.
Right. And that's why it's so dark then that compared to the summer one is the extra flowers that makes the different taste and the different color.
Absolutely, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Wow.
And it's fun. I mean, I don't know what you've used the honey for, but on Greek yogurt, thick Greek yogurt or porridge, absolutely fantastic.
Yep.
And we're now developing another SKU, hot honey, and
Mm.
we've tested it with the summer harvest and we've tested it with the winter harvest. It works really well with winter harvest. And from September, we hope to be marketing our hot honey.
And what is hot honey?
We're going to be using bird's eye chili and also, I can't remember the name of the other chili that we use. It's another really hot chili. And it's infused into the honey. And then it's a bit, people use it for pizzas, salad dressing, and it's a spicy honey. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Wow. That does sound interesting. So we've tried both of them with honey and chopped fruit. We've tried it in salad, vinaigrettes. I'm healthy at the moment, but my go-to is if I get a sore throat or whatever, I'll take red wine, put 2 cloves in it, bring it to the boil, and then I often do use Manuka honey. Just dissolve a couple of teaspoons of honey just to soothe my throat. So next time that happens, we'll try the winter one, see if that works.
Yeah. So another recipe we've got is ginger grated, lemon and turmeric, and then the dark honey as a medicine. And that recipe was given to me by customers from, we do these stands in Costco, and we get lots of people that talk to us about what they do with the honey. And
Yeah.
that's one very powerful recipe I've been told about.
Okay. So we just have to be clear as well, just for legal reasons. We're not making specific medical claims about this. We're just anecdotally talking about things that turn out to be helpful. So I advise all my kids when they say, "Oh, I've got a sore throat," so don't do the honey thing. But I'm not qualified, so it's just something that I find helpful. So
Yeah, I think we all know that honey is healthy.
yes,
Making claims is tricky. And if I
yeah,
get these published results, that's going to be fantastic because I'll make the
yes,
claims.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but
definitely,
you know, honey goes back to the Bible days and even in the Quran. I mean,
yeah,
it's all in. It's
yep,
the medicine to have.
yes, indeed, yeah, 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 incredible. Well, it's a long, long way from hedge fund management, isn't it? But so, are you? Is this the whole thing? Is this your entire work life at the moment? Is on the honey, or are you up to other things? Or
It is. Yeah, no, it really is. I've been. It's so difficult to make a brand work. It's
yes,
so difficult. I didn't realize how difficult it would be. And if it wasn't for a private income, which I don't have it anymore, but I had, this would have died years and years ago.
right,
But I was able to keep going and keep going and keep going and knocking on doors, telling the story, going to events, that I got picked up. And this has only happened in the last couple of years. So I got picked up by Holland and Barrett. I got picked up by Royal Windsor Farm Shop, Selfridges, and some other fancy places. And now we're doing road shows in Costco and being listed there under the membership scheme. And it's it, it's taken so long and it's so hard. So that really is what I'm doing now, and I'm promoting it, and I'm launching into America in September. That's going to be
right.
big. We're going to be on God TV from September,
Hmm.
and they broadcast globally into
Yep.
150 to 200 countries, but we'll only be able to deliver in America and in the UK. And I'm talking to some people about delivering in getting a bottling facility set up or contracting it out in Europe.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that will be good. Now you can imagine that it takes a lot of time to do all of that.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
but what's very important with all of this is the social side. So as well as impacting the people on the ground in Africa by giving them 10 hives each and giving them an income, the profit that we can make from selling all this honey, and if you think that if we sell 2.5 to 3 million jars, there's a lot of profit there.
Yeah.
So I've got my school already in Zambia, and we want to increase that school and make it better and go up to higher grades. But we've also just acquired land in Ethiopia, so I've had a charity since 2010 in Ethiopia, in Addis Ababa.
Hmm.
We impact thousands of kids every year by putting them to school, but we've just got land now, 3,000 square meters. We're going to start building our own school. We need the
Wow.
funding for that. It's going to
Wow.
come from the honey. So that's another thing that's added to the project.
That's fantastic. I'm well, I met you through Jamie McAllister, who's been on the podcast several times, incredible networker. But he also introduced me to this idea of the fair made concept, where the product is mostly made in the source country of the primary ingredient, and just talking about how much more money that leaves in country than many of the other logos on products that I also sell. But this idea that, to just take ingredients from the global south and then all the value added processes and all the profit stays in Europe or the USA or Asia. And it feels a bit like pillaging the global south. And then we have this guilt-based mechanism where people try and do charitable things to make up for the fact that they know they've been pillaging the resources. So to actually make the product and harness the skills of local people, keep everything local, and keep those extra value-added profit margins in country, just it seems so obviously the right thing to do. And so then when we heard about the honey, that just seems like a brilliant example of enabling people to earn their own way out of poverty and to have their dignity intact and to be, I don't know, given credit even for the fact that these are artisans. These are people who live with the land much more closely than we do. And here they are on the back of their own efforts, starting to prosper for their families. But then we can just bring technology or capital or a little bit of know-how to help that process along. And it just feels like, however you got there, you seem to have hit the bullseye with this honey.
Yeah, as I said earlier, it's been a really long journey. So it's only because I had that private income that I could do that. And I felt strongly that when I left the hedge fund world, that I didn't want to give charity. I wanted to create something in the country where they create their own wealth.
Yeah.
And it's been a long journey to get there. We have done it, but we've only just done it. Ideally, it'd be great to bottle the honey in Africa and bring it over, but the weight of jars is too much to do that. So we've done the next best thing by bottling it over here.
Right.
But my dream is, if you look around the world, look around the high streets in America, the high streets in Europe and in the UK, look down the high street and you see shops that are represented by the USA, Italy, all of Europe, Australia, New Zealand, and China, because they make everything. But there's nothing from Africa. And the whole continent of Africa isn't represented on a high street. And it's my dream to have a shop or shops around the world, a chain that represents Africa. And if that starts with honey, and from honey it can grow to candles, real wax candles, not petroleum candles, real wax candles. And from that, merchandise and other products, that would be my dream, a high-end shop that would be on the high street that represents Africa. And so this is the beginning of that journey. And I hope that, I'll see it at the end. But I know that, we've built 3 million jars of honey isn't a lot at the end of the day. If you think of the amount of honey that's sold just in the UK alone. So if we produce, say, 1,000 tons of honey, we consume 30,000, I don't know what it is in the UK now, but a lot of honey. We have the capability of building another 2, 3, 4, 500,000 beehives in Zambia alone. And the guy who was my partner in Zambia, who passed away sadly in an accident a number of years ago, but his estimation was that we could have 2 to 3 million hives just in Zambia. So you can see the scale this can go to of the highest quality honey. Now, I don't know that the kind of honey that you buy in the supermarkets is a solution. It's a sweetener. It's a solution. This is real honey. And with the research that we have done behind it, hopefully it will become known. So therefore it will sell. So therefore this could be a jump start to something big that could be on the high streets in around the world. Who knows?
That's a fantastic vision, definitely. So my heart is for online. I think bricks and mortar is it's a point of presence on the high street, isn't it? That's the big thing about it. It's like a huge flag that says, "Hey, look, good things are coming from Africa or South America or wherever it is that we're trading." But particularly the idea of showcasing somehow products that are made without huge numbers of additives, that are made by people who are cooperating with the land, treating the land well. So really, I started We Are Fair Trade because I think I've read the Bible multiple times, and the one theme that God seems to speak about over and over and over again is the poor, the needy, the oppressed, the orphans, the widow. And we get into all kinds of stuff. I've done it myself, and big projects for the Lord. And it's almost like, but in the background, you hear him shouting, "Yeah, but what about the poor? What about the needy?" And I think to showcase the needy, not as victims, but as people full of creativity, innovation, passion, motivation, energy. But we all need a bunk up, don't we? We just need a break sometimes. So it seems that on your really interesting journey, God's used you to be the bunk up for those people there in Zambia and to liberate their abilities. And I think that's fantastic. That's so close to the heart of God that as a faith-driven entrepreneur, I think that's it's music to my ears. And I think, well, good for you on the faithfulness to stick through all the hassle and the difficulties that you've had, but there's something tangible coming out of it, isn't there?
I think there is, and this is just the start. So even though, we produce so much honey, the difficulty over the past 10, 15 years it has been just selling that as a valuable product. I've
Yeah.
been selling it as a sweetener for food to South Africa. It's just been sold in bulk. So the people on the ground were impacted, but everything was hidden. Now it's come into light in the last 2 years, and people are seeing it on the shelves in the shops. And when that picks up and we sell more and more of it, we will be able to produce more and more of it and do all those things that I was talking to you about earlier of having it showcased and for the Africans to be proud of it. The bricks and mortar thing, I think, is just, for example, today I'm meeting a friend down at the King's Road because I want to get out. I want to walk down a high street. I want to do something different.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
people love to do that.
Yeah.
And so there will always be shops. So
Yes.
I'd love to have that represented on the high street.
Yeah.
I agree with you about online stuff. Got to be done. Believe it or not, we do very little. Mine's all bricks and mortar.
Yeah.
That's only because I'm at an age where just technology is not there. So I'm having to engage with groups now to help me on that. And that will hopefully boost things even more.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I'm excited. This to me is a beginning, actually. Even though we produce all this honey, it's a beginning. And
Fantastic.
That's what I'm excited about.
So let me just make sure I've understood some of the mechanism properly. So I've seen photos, you've got a workshop out there in Zambia that's actually making the hives. But then did you say you're actually giving 10 hives? So they're not buying the hives from you, you're giving families 10 hives to manage. So is that right?
Things have changed over the years because things always do change and there are moving parts. My responsibility on the building of the hives and putting the hives in the bush has been sidelined. My responsibility is the marketing and sales.
Right.
So what they do now up there is they build the beehives, exactly what you said. We give 10 hives to each family through a network of cooperatives around Zambia.
Right.
And through our network with chiefs and village headmen, we use that network that we've had for a long time through my missionary friends out there who have been there for hundreds of years, or the family's been there for donkey's years.
Yeah.
And that's why it's unusual that we've been able to do this. You can't just walk into Africa and do that. You'd be hung, drawn, and quartered. And so that's what we do. We give them the 10 hives, and then through our network, the people go around on bicycles and they pick up the honey twice a year and pay cash for the honey. So these people that are living on the breadline, and this impacts their income and their lifestyle. It doesn't cover it fully, but it impacts them.
Yeah.
as we sell the honey and the brand becomes more and more successful, we will increase what we pay the farmer.
Yeah.
What we pay an average of $1 per kilo for the raw honey, including the wax, the bucket of what's in there. That's fair. It differs depending on what the dollar's doing and what the kwacha's doing.
Yeah.
And at the moment, the kwacha's very weak, the dollar's quite strong. So that will always change. But we will always attempt to give more. We haven't been able to do that yet because we're still building the brand.
Yeah.
And we're still building the model. And that will go on for a long time.
So is this something that they're doing it alongside other things? So it's not a full-time job looking after the hives? Is this just...
They'll grow their maize. Unfortunately, they'll still do their charcoal, which kills hardwood trees. But that's over the whole of Africa. We're all trying to sort of go against that and find a way of replacing that.
Yeah.
So yes, this is additional to it.
Yeah. I love that. So this is it's a boost to the family income, and then they can use that for sending their kids to school or food or clothes.
Sending kids to school and, having food on the table. And some of them take it more seriously than others. So some will do quite well and look after their hives, make sure they keep the grass down below so that it doesn't catch fire. And so we'll give certain families maybe 20 hives or more.
Right.
And we have areas which are not successful. We'll have areas where there's been drought and there'll be no honey.
Yeah.
So it's not straightforward. It's tricky and it's hard.
Yeah.
And we'll go and visit some villages and they're using the hives as furniture, as they're sitting on them and the coffee tables and stuff like that. Fortunately, it only costs us, between $15 to $20 to build a hive and place it in the bush.
Okay.
So when this gets bigger, on that basis of that costing, if we want to build another 100,000 beehives, that's only $2 million. And if you work out, how much honey that produces, that will produce 1,000 tons of honey.
Yeah.
1,000 tons of honey. Calculate it yourself. How many jars? That's 3 million jars of honey, and then put that on the shelf. It's a lot of money. It's a great business model. That took me, 10, 20 seconds to say, but the work involved to do that and the complications and the ups and downs, unbelievable.
Yeah. And that's the bit that you only really understand if you're trying to do it, isn't it? So I was chatting to somebody a couple of days ago, lovely, really passionate woman, just back from Kenya. She's Kenyan, and saying that when she's talking to people over there, the big thing they all say they need is access to a bigger market than their own local market. So obviously Europe, USA, Asia even are all hugely important markets for somebody who's just starting up anywhere in the global south. But to actually penetrate the market, as you're saying, and as I'm finding, it's a long slog, isn't it? It's to open up a pipeline that's sustainable, where you can give people access to customers. Particularly for me, I'm looking for customers who are willing to spend that little bit more on their shopping budget because they believe that it's actually helping people in the global south. And in the UK, it's incredibly hard to make people start giving or taking part in what you're doing. But once you've got their loyalty, it's also quite hard to make them stop. And I think we start slow and we stay in for a long time, us Brits. And I think I love watching that happen. But that's the makings of a big shop window, isn't it, for people who may never meet us. But if you can sell the honey, they can make the honey, they can make that extra money, we can get the brand out. So I'm excited to be a small part of what you're doing.
Yeah, so the interesting thing that's happened with this project is that, as I said, it took 2 years to develop and nobody was hanging beehives high up in the tree, nobody. And we started it and finally got it to work. And obviously we wouldn't patent it, that would be ridiculous. We want as many people to do this as possible. So now, over the whole of Zambia, we've got groups that have come in from South Africa that want to do it commercially. We've got groups, all NGOs that have taken it up, and now they're hanging their hives all over the place in the trees. So that's fantastic. It's impacting the people on the ground. Brilliant. But I think where they are finding a problem is selling it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what we also do is we buy other people's honey.
Hmm.
So we go around the country and we buy other people's honey, and it's being
Right.
sold
Yeah.
under my brand.
Right.
Now I'm happy for more brands to be recognised and stuff, but I know it's really, really, really hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the fact that I've got mine off the ground, I mean, mine's come off the ground through going to Dubai, to the Gulf show, to going to Germany show, America, the Anaheim Expo expedition in California, specialty food show in Kensington, year on, year on, year on. I've had to do that for so many years to get to where I've got to now. So
Hmm.
I think people to suddenly decide, oh, I'm going to do that and I'm going to get my brand known. I hope it works,
Yeah.
but it's taken me years and years of
Yeah.
banging
Yeah.
at the door.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great that people are now taking up the idea of hanging those hives high up in the tree, and we're buying the honey, and so we're
Amazing.
supporting that and using it under the Mama Buci brand because the
Yeah.
trees are the same trees. They're from the Miambo forests,
Right.
so it's great. Yeah,
Incredible. Well, it's an amazing story, and it's just been fantastic to actually meet you and see you and hear your passion. And yeah, it's every story is so different, isn't it? And it's like we all end up doing things we didn't really think we'd be doing, but that's
no,
in God's plan, isn't it? And He knows what He's doing.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I don't really know what to say from here, but that's it. It's in His
Yeah,
plan, and I sort of every morning wake up and hand it all over to God and see what happens.
yeah. It's exciting, isn't it? It's an adventure. Well, Martin, it's just been fantastic to get this time with you, and thanks for taking time out of your day to talk to us. And yeah, and let's hope that Mama Buci really takes off and captures people's imagination.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, Mark. Thank you for giving me this time.